Welcome, everybody, to this long-awaited MyStreme update. Today's update is particularly exciting because we're going to answer some really deep questions that people have been asking us, and we've been a little bit reluctant to answer them because we want to have the actual correct legal answer and not give any incorrect information. So this is regarding MyStreme's patents. For those of you who've been following, and those of you who haven't been following, we actually have three patents. Is that right, Dan?
Three patents.
Three patents on MyStreme, and some of these patents were applied for more than a decade ago for this technology that we have at MyStreme now. Through Dan's vision and forethought, using words like artificial intelligence a decade ago, we now have some patents for that in regards to MyStreme. So, but we have with us today our resident specialist, Doug LaLone. He is a registered patent attorney. He is the patent attorney for these MyStreme patents. And he's been a patent attorney for 32 years in the Detroit area. He has a background in mechanical engineering and his specialty is mechanical and computer science. So welcome, Doug LaLone.
Thank you, Stephen, Daniel, and John, and Paul. It's nice to be here today. I look forward to our conversation.
Awesome. So I'm going to do very little talking today because I don't know a whole lot about patents. So I'm going to turn it over to you first, Dan, so you can kind of, prime the conversation about the patents, and then we can answer those questions that our investors have been asking. What do these patents cover and what do they not cover? So Dan, I'm throwing it to you.
So I ran into Doug in the world of patent and litigation with one of my clients I was working with at the time. I believe it was a bank. And learned that he was working with Rolls-Royce and a lot of other really cool brands and tech brands, and had this idea for what we now call boundaries, this idea of a filtering technology that would provide a very curated list of content to subscribers for a streaming service. And Doug said, this is absolutely patentable. I don't believe the year we met, but I believe the year we actually applied for this patent was 2014. And Doug, you're here to help us understand how are we covered and what does a patent provide us for what we now call boundaries at MyStreme.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan, for the intro. I think maybe a great way to kind of talk about what your first patent covers is to maybe share the screen, and I can actually kind of walk the audience through the actual issued patent, and then there's others pending. So and let me know if I get too deep in the weeds or get too boring, but I'm a patent guy, so I can get pretty deep pretty quick on the nuances of the patents. But the first patent that we have that's issued regarding this technologies is the title is Digital Parental Controls Interface. This patent was issued here back in March 12 of 2019. It's known as U.S. patent number 10231-019. I'll call it the 019 patent for brevity purposes. And so kind of show you kind of the storied history. This is the face of the patent right here that I'm going to talk about first. And this patent application actually goes clear back to a provisional we filed clear back in March of 2012. So we've been working on this concept with the U.S. Patent Office for a very, very long time. The first application was a provisional application, which is this one I have highlighted here. That grew into the current application. But before that, it was actually, we filed a PCT. So we've actually filed an international application. We filed a provisional. Those were all launched off, and this current U.S. patent was filed. And so the basic ideas that Dan talked about at the beginning is really shown in the first figure. And I'm just going to go down here and to figure number one, if I may, and kind of show you the basic concepts. It's a little on the large side there, but I guess we'll all see that together. And Dan, I'm sure that picture looks familiar to you, doesn't it? Yeah, so that picture right there is the basic, we call it dashboard or graphic user interface. That's really the consumer-facing component or visual that the customers see. And the dashboard allows the consumer, that is somebody, let's say, for example, at home, a parent that's at home, that wants to provide some controls of what's coming into their house by moving the slider bar across. So the parent can actually have that kind of control with what the streaming content is coming into the house. Another thing we have in this first patent is the ability to block certain kinds of contents. We have a blocking tab here, which is item 108 in this figure. And then actually we then have a skipping feature where they can skip over content. Let's say the system identifies certain content that it does not want your child or minor in the household to see. Well, we have a feature here where the parent can click this tab right here, and the skipping feature will come into play.
For clarity's sake, because this is, all kind of new to me. So this initial patent is for the interface that controls these preferences, or is it for the actual ability to control those things?
Both. And we're going to get the patent claims down below. And there's one patent claim I want to walk through. And the patent claim actually talks about and claims an interface, which is what we see here, otherwise known as GUI, graphic user interface, as well as the process of accomplishing what I basically just talked through at the very high level.
And now this graphic now, if we can perhaps switch over to Dan's screen so we can see what this interface now looks like on MyStreme.
There it is.
There it is.
So this is our boundaries feature, and you can see it has, now we are missing one thing from the patent. It doesn't say anything about skipping for DVDs. So it's a little bit updated since then. It would feel a little odd, but that is almost identical. The other thing that we changed is previously it said mature over here. It said family friendly on this side. We found more people felt that it should be reversed because as you move to the right, you want to populate with more titles or you want it to be more severe content. They felt that it made more sense for family friendly to be on the left side. But other than that, this is pretty close to what we had patented.
And so for those who have not been watching any of the recent demo videos, this technology is actually live on MyStreme right now, right?
This is live. This is functional. And when you click on the filtering, it'll actually change what you're about to watch. And then you go to the next level. When you go to watch that content, it informs this little feature over here, which tells it, and this is connectivity we're still building, but it'll inform this as to which curse words to remove and how many to remove, that you can come back and you can individually change it by movie because every movie is ranked and rated for every single aspect of the movie down to the curse word. If you want to remove G's, you can remove the word G's. Gee whiz, guys. But it's got that in here. And I'm sure that the degree will make a big difference as to what it'll actually remove.
That ClearPlay interface, that the patent on that belongs to ClearPlay, right? We are partners with them.
So ClearPlay has the patent on this. This is currently in a $400 million lawsuit with Dish Networks. And the jury had awarded them a $400 million prize that then the judge overruled and is in appeals now. But they've licensed this to us, and it is part of our license capacity to deliver this content. And they're good friends of the organization, and we're super excited about their technology, which integrates with our technology, which is nice.
And to be clear, that lawsuit was ClearPlay suing Dish Network, not the opposite, because
Correct.
Dish was infringing on ClearPlay's patent.
It was actually the Hopper, which is on the Dish Network technology to skip advertising. They used technology which overlays their patent, which skips these various sensitivities versus skipping advertising.
Got a related question. I'm still a little confused on the difference between filtering what displays on the MyStreme screen versus filtering the actual content itself. So right now, the only filtering of content itself is being accomplished by ClearPlay from our association with ClearPlay, but we actually do have the patent as well. If we come up with the technology to filter the content itself, that's also under our patent. And if so, how does our patent differ from ClearPlay's patent?
I can speak to part of that. Now we do have claims that talk about skipping and removing content. We also have patent claims that talk about and cover creating libraries. That's the subject of our pending application. We're creating libraries of acceptable content, and we have claims covering creating libraries of blacklisted content, stuff that we would never want to see. So that's the subject of the pending application, and the pending application, which that's going to be way too into the weeds. I won't get into that. But our pending application also uses artificial intelligence to go out and scrub content and to identify, instead of manually identifying blacklisted content, but through using algorithms, you can train the model to identify undesirable content and putting that in a segment and then having that skip.
Yeah, so there on 14, it says the system has claimed 12, further comprising an extraction feature to replace undesired content. I think this is where Paul's question is lying. Does that content mean replacing the overall content, like the entire movie with a different movie? Or are we talking about we can actually, this patent covers replacing content within a movie? In other words, like replacing the word, the F word with the word fudge or nothing. Does this patent cover that?
Yeah, that's a great distinction, and it's the latter. So what we're claiming here is the ability to identify undesirable content within a particular movie. We call them segments, and then extract that, I'll call a blacklisted segment or undesirable segment out, and insert or replace it with something that's customer friendly. We do have patent claims, as Stephen, you pointed out up here, that talks about the extraction feature, that talks about replacing extracted content with desirable content. So, but we're not actually doing that, right, Dan? You're not doing that with your software. That's where ClearPlay comes in, because they're executing that layer.
Right.
Well, I think our intention is in the future is to do exactly that, using artificial intelligence when the technology exists on the fly to be able to replace content as it comes into your home. So,
Right.
and currently nobody is doing that. Our friends at ClearPlay are deleting content, removing content, muting content, but
Manual.
not replacing anything right now.
Okay.
Well, the future,
Right.
we see artificial intelligence rereading certain phrases in the accent and the voice of celebrity talent, and you can simply have a word replaced. And we kind of envisioned that day. That's what this does. It'll replace content, so you'll never know it happened. So we are currently covered, as far as I know, Doug, we're covered for artificial intelligence in the advertising component of what we're doing, which means that we have contextual advertising capabilities based on artificial intelligence, looking at the content and determining where the ads should be placed in our platform. We're also working on the AI curation aspect, and that's a patent that's pending, I understand.
That's correct. Yeah, let me just give you a brief background and update on our pending application that deals with parental controls. So we're now going after patent claims and a new patent that's basically automatically building a dynamic library. We could call it a large language model, an LLM, where we're going out and scraping. We'll have the ability to scrape large databases, and from that, curate using artificial intelligence. So we're going to have an algorithm that's going to go out and look for nude scenes or words or different things that your slider bar you can set for. It's going to go out and go through large models and curate its answers automatically, and then build a library of those results. And the reason being is, let's say the next time somebody wants to look at a movie, and a human being hasn't rated it yet for some reason, whatever. I'm just making this up. They're all rated, right? But here, if for some reason somebody types in the parent or the child wants to look at a new movie and hasn't been rated by some service yet, but for example, your algorithm, Dan, that we have claims pending on, has actually gone out and scraped through and assessed that already, and as a result of that, we've automatically built within the dynamic library the results of the answers to the questions on your dashboard. We now have a learning library that's going to be curating all of that content. So, which means the artificial intelligence tool is going to allow you to be able to tap into that particular resulting library and get feedback as to whether that's a proper movie for a child to look at or not. Or if it is or not, that data is going to be propagated. So we are going after patent claims that are now using artificial intelligence to help us curate better libraries that are smarter in our learning on a continuum basis, because there's new content every day being built, right, by Hollywood and everybody else. So your engine's going to be able to help gather that intelligence where human beings can't do it as fast as your machine can. Does that help?
Perfect. Yeah, it's a great answer, Doug. One thing I was going to ask is at the beginning of this call, we said there's 3 patents that are currently have been issued. The first one we mentioned was on the interface, right? And the interface, in addition to the interface, was the ability to actually replace content within, just to filter content to replace it. That's the same patent we're talking about, right? It's not a separate patent.
Within the same patent
Or
as
the
you
same
described.
patent.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
And there is an additional patent we hold, which is an AI component of filtering advertising, or is that the right? Am I using the right word for that?
Yeah, so the other patent is taking when you have, for example, an advertiser that wants to be involved in promoting content. And the advertiser is very concerned because they want their ads to be placed in areas or within content that is appropriate to their brand. So they can set their parameters when it comes to the boundaries and say, these are the types of content libraries I'd like to be associated with based on these parameters, and their ads will place that way. It wasn't long ago that YouTube had over $1 billion of advertising pulled because of a series of brands that said your content's not appropriate to our brand. And so we're not going to let our content be placed on YouTube. So we started working on this library management system from both perspectives, both the user who experiences it and the marketer who wants to put their content within that space.
Okay. So then we have the patent for the filtering of content. We have the patent for the marketing, the making sure that it's the branding is compliant with what the advertiser is wanting, what the content provider is wanting. Then you have the one that's being applied for, which is the AI libraries. Just to put it in a short term, what is the third one that has been issued?
Yeah, let me just clarify. So at this point in time, there are 2 issued and there are 2 more pending. So just to clarify, there are 2 issued U.S. patents. There are 2 more U.S. patents pending. Before all of those, we had a provisional application was pending. And then also connected with that, we had a PCT patent, which is a worldwide patent, which stands for Patent Cooperation Treaty, PCT. The provisional is expired now, of course. The PCT has expired now, and we launched into this 2-prong, 2 avenues of patents that Dan just talked about. The one with advertising, placement of ads, and then what we started at the beginning of the conversation was the patent on what we just gone through with on the screen. So just right now, just 2 issued patents. I want to clarify that. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
well,
2 more
clear.
pending, one for each the advertising engine that Dan talked about, as well as the other one pending right now, which pertains to the artificial intelligence and building libraries using that engine.
Okay.
So good clarification. Thank you.
That's great. So I know we could probably get into details for the next 6 hours on all these patents easily, I bet.
Right.
Does anybody else have any questions that I feel like it's much clearer now? And if our investors sat through this entire recording, I feel like they would have it pretty clear now too. Does anybody have any further questions that are kind of on the broad level that help us clarify what these patents cover? John, Paul?
It's really exciting to see how comprehensive it is and how they all tie together.
Yeah. Can I give a little more granularity if you don't mind?
Well,
So in our both of our issued patents plus our pending applications, we have 2 different types of patent claims. Claims are the numbered monopolies that appear at the bottom of the patent, okay? And so every patent claim is its own monopoly, and to infringe, somebody just needs to infringe one of those, not all 20 or 25 patent claims that are issued, but an infringer just needs to infringe one of those and they're liable. We purposely in our patent applications include what we call system claims or method claims. I'm going to steal the screen real quick, not to bore you. But for those who are into patent claims and we're really wanting to know what the monopolies cover, So we talked about claim 12, it's a system claim. So that's actual hardware. So for somebody to infringe this claim, they would have to have this hardware, the server, plus the interface device, which is our figure 1 dashboard. And then it has to perform based upon these features here that I highlighted in red, okay? So those are system claims, which basically is hardware. It's what somebody has to have in order to infringe. More importantly, we also have issued claims for the method of how somebody uses our device. So irrespective of what the hardware looks like, we have claims allowed that goes through a series of steps of filtering. Then the software determines certain things. Then based upon that, the dashboard will display to the parent the dashboard, and they can input different things. There's a display. If a child's using it, the child gets kicked out, so on and so forth. My point is, we have method of operating claims that have been improved. So even if somebody changes the hardware slightly, makes it look different, if they follow our steps, which is basically our method of operating, it's our algorithm, if they follow our steps based upon claim 22 of this patent, then they're an infringer, irrespective of how they characterize the hardware or make the hardware look like. So it's pretty broad. And we did the same thing in Dan's advertising patent, where we have patent issued on placing preferred content in an associated area that the advertiser wants. So again, that we have hardware or system claims for that. We also have method of placing ad claims allowed in that patent as well.
To give you an idea how important that is coming from the ad business, there are entire channels, you call them ecosystems or ad exchanges that are avoided by brands because they don't feel they're safe in those exchanges. And so this creates an interface. And if we create a safe place for brands at MyStreme, there would be an interest to invest here because these brands are looking for safe places to invest, where they can say their brand is going to be treated well and they're going to be in the right place with the right content. And so they're not going to worry about what's on the platform. They're going to worry about what they're next to, the content they're in. And that's what we're going to offer them within that space.
Awesome.
Right. And just one follow-up thing. The patent gives the patent owner a monopoly for 20 years to prevent others from making, using, and selling or offering for sale the patented invention. So not only preventing people from using the system or even performing it online using our method steps. It's a pretty powerful monopoly.
Yeah, so all I can say, Doug, is nice work on the specificity in that patent, because that covers an awful lot. So, for our investors, these aren't patents that cover some little bug in the bottom left corner of the screen. These are patents that cover the way that what our intention is with this technology in the first place, was to be able to filter and to be able to provide content that is, in the preference of the user, hence MyStreme. So nice work, Doug. Paul, I thought you heard you chime in a little earlier. Do you still have a question that you want to ask Doug before we sign off today?
No, I think I'm good. I'll follow up with something later.
Okay.
I do have a question. Doug, what does this patent mean to a business? I know that we need investors to review the valuation of our business. I know that we need to protect ourselves from other outside competitors. What if Google or Netflix decides one day to do what we're doing? What does this patent actually do for us?
Well, it's obviously a very important asset to the owner. And with that asset, it has a benefit of a monopoly to exclude others from making, using, selling, or offering for sale. So what that means is basically it's capturing a market segment and it's putting a stake in the land, keeping others from stepping into your sandbox. So it's up to you, your team, to define what the value of that ecosystem, the value of that business is. But once a monopoly protects that business, it becomes a valuable asset because you can now protect the revenue that's driving the balance sheet. And by doing that, you obviously have to enforce your patent. So it's protecting your revenue stream, one thing. Secondly, a benefit of the company is that you, as the owner of the patent, you can license the patent to others to do any of those four things: make, use, sell, or offer for sale the patented thing. The patent thing, as we talked about, Stephen, is pretty broad. It's the machine, the system, as well as the method of executing the steps to, I'm not going to go into the depth of it, but do all the things we talked about today, right? So it becomes a very valuable asset to the enterprise that has the keys to the castle, which is the ownership of the patent and their ability to license it, collect a 5 or 10% royalty off the ecosystem. So you could go out and license the industry with this. And that's why it's important to get plurality of patents, which Dan's always been a fan of building a patent portfolio of not of one, but of a series of patents. And that's what we're working on. And each time we get a new patent or we file another application, we pivot a little bit and we go after a little bit different business segment. For example, if you found some business enterprise that you thought was competing against you, we could file a continuation application, Dan, that went after their particular vertical in the movies industry or in the advertising industry, and we would focus on patent claims and maybe get a patent completely blocking out a competitor. So that's why I would challenge all of you to keep us informed about potential infringers, because as long as we have a patent pending, we may be able to write patent claims to go after the competition or a suitor or a buyer, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Well, with the advancement of artificial intelligence, it only seems natural that people will attempt to do what we're doing, but things we already have the patents on or the applications are already in, you kind of are already way ahead of the game with having these applications in already. So,
Right.
how long ago was that? Is it a continuation or what's the word you used?
Continuation, yes.
How long ago was that applied for on that third one?
January 2019.
Okay.
And it
Of course,
claims priority going clear back to 2012. So we have very early priority dates. I'm very excited about that.
That's amazing.
Is the word or the terms artificial intelligence, were those there in the beginning of the patent application, or those as of 2019?
We filed a CIP application. That's a good question. I think a little bit of both. In the initial application, we talked about artificial intelligence. Then we filed a CIP on the application on the ad side, and we added more information about artificial intelligence, ML and LLM. So a little of each, Paul, I believe. I'd have to double check that, but I think our initial case from way back 12 had the word AI in it, which was in its infancy. Like, what is that? What did that even mean? We were way ahead of our time putting that in the spec.
Well, I've seen Dan go through the document and kind of highlight all the places artificial intelligence was used in the application. I just wondered if that was from the 2012 version or a later continuance or appendage.
Right.
This is a later version. When you go, I think that what you're referring to, let me look for it. Here it is. This one here. This is the second patent, which a lot of this relates to what is more the advertising feature by artificial intelligence. It's learning which components of the content might be appropriate to place ads near and appropriately in. And our belief is there's actually an ability to say that this here is an ad for the content we're about to watch on Amazon. So in some stretch, we're actually covered currently, but we are extending that to make sure that we are fully covered for artificial intelligence and curation.
Well, wouldn't you also be covered then for when advertisers want to use your platform, like say, a pizza and a movie night that you had a number of years back, and they wanted to advertise on MyStreme, that the client could be comfortable that the content that they're advertising on matches their brand.
Correct. That's what this is all about, is that you get this, you want to place your ad in an environment that's going to be safe. And that's we've actually been building that part of the application for a long time. And we're excited about it. We're excited about this. Actually, the next extension is going to go to the next level.
Yeah. Well, Doug, thanks so much. This has been exceedingly enlightening. And I'm sure our investors are excited to hear what's going on with the patents that MyStreme holds now. So thanks so much, Doug.
Happy I was able to make a very boring topic exciting,
Oh,
if that's
let me
possible.
Sure.
let me give him a little credit. Doug is relentless. The reason we're here today is because he did not give up over the last decade looking for new paths, new opportunities. And he has had a passion for this brand, for what we're trying to do before our brand even existed. So he's one of our best friends. And just thank you, Doug, for all the work you've done.
My pleasure. It's been great working with you. It was nice meeting you all. I think I'm going to hop off now if that's okay with you.
Yep. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining us today, investors, and we'll see you next time on the next MyStream update coming up in a few more weeks. So see you next time.